stressful, even for the most experienced driver. Confronting the person at fault, documenting the damage, and capturing the scene can seem overwhelming in the moment, especially when you've been...
What's happening, everyone? How we doing today? Raiders at Texans. We got a little Vegas Golden Knight talk coming up today. We have Lee Sterling, who's going to join us and pick you some games for free. What else do we got? College football playoff. That's coming up. Patrick Graham just gave his press conference with the Raiders, and someone asked him about tanking, and he was not happy. You're going to love to hear that. That's coming up. Maybe we'll get some phone calls today. Maybe we'll hear from some fans who want to talk sports today. Maybe we'll do that. How's the audio sound there, son? It's good? Let's put this here.
Opportunities and lifestyle. Protecting our people.
Yep.
Institutions.
Friends doing well today.
IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Got Clay Baker and my son in studio today, so we are rocking.
What's happening? It's Q Myers, your boy Q. Join me.
Yep, the Giants are tanking today. They are tanking.
Plus all the fun NFL action. Don't miss every Monday with me, live at Silver Sevens, starting at 2 p.m. P.S. First 20 listeners.
Pretty cool thing today. So the show I do on Saturday, Monday I do Raiders Roundtable, Tuesday Coach Carroll. Today we do Raiders Rundown, and they took me out on a drive with Amber Theo Harris and drove me through Vegas. It was cool. So why don't you take that and hear how we're having a lot of positive energy.
Your silver and black home to sound off for 25 years. I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And now, here's JT Greg.
Out of the gate, JT with you. We're ready to roll today. Where are you? Want to know where you are in the Raider Nation? Are you in New York? Are you in the Pacific Northwest? Are you in Sao Paulo, Brazil? Are you listening like Raider Crusader in London? Get on the YouTube channel and watch for free. I got my son with me today. I got the great Clay Baker. We have the Lotus, where we work at, Lotus Broadcasting, holiday party today, Clay. And I saw an unbelievable tray of spaghetti and meatballs being prepared by a professional. So is it an Italian theme? What's going on in the lobby?
It's mangia. It's now like the family sit down. We're going to break bread for real. It's a lobby. That's great.
Nicely done. Always good to get the team together. And as you know, Clay, being a lifer in radio, people show up at radio stations for food.
It's one of the strange professions that people will literally show up and possibly work just for food only.
People actually don't come into radio much anymore because they can work from home. We could do the shows from home with the Comrex and an ISDN line, and people can be the salespeople who really fuel this whole company. You got to sell, got to do business here, man. Remember, we're not the people on the radio that just want to talk on the radio. We got to bring in money or we won't be here. So we have all of our partners here, and we thank them. And we always thank them, as you know, but we thank them even more during the holiday season. So we begin by saying thank you to Golden Entertainment. I have my Golden Entertainment dinner tonight with my buddy Eric Rodriguez and Ross, and we want to thank our proud partner, Golden Entertainment, 70-plus taverns here in the Valley, 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town for well over a decade. I've been telling you about PTs and how they fuel the monologue. So we appreciate that, and we're excited for everybody who joins us here every day. We stream live on YouTube, JT the Brick. We have our own channel. It's building. We're getting to a couple of milestone numbers. It takes a while, man. People get lazy. They don't subscribe. They look at it, but they don't hit subscribe. We're trying to get everybody to subscribe and watch what we do. And then we're on the Raiders mobile app, which is one of the best mobile apps in all of sports radio. And you can just download your Raiders mobile app and click on the radio, and you get the show live any way you want. And that's really a nice feature that we have here. So we have an interesting storyline to open up the show in a little bit. Patrick Graham just met the media, and he wasn't happy when someone asked him a question about competing. Do we have that? This is very important. Everybody listen to this. This is a defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, moments ago. Check this out.
Now 14, 15 weeks into the season here, how do you gauge the compete level, the energy level of your
I'm going to tell you all this again. Unfortunately for me, as a coordinator, haven't had a winning season. So, but As long as I'm the coordinator, as long as Pete's the head coach, as long as we got Max Crosby and Landon Roberts and we got, Adam Butler, I don't know why y'all even ask us that question. It's not going down like that, period. I don't care what the score is. I don't care what the record is. 17 opportunities a year to be a football player. All that other stuff is being a professional footballer, workouts, all that stuff like that. This is what we did when we were kids. This is what we're going to do. And I'll be damned if the guys that I know in that room would do it any other way. I don't know. I mean, y'all can ask me again next week, but that's just how it goes down. All right? Everybody good?
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. That's the show. Wow, we got a show. That was Patrick Graham dealing with what JT the Brick in the third person deals with every bleeping day. Are we going to tank? And he just gave you the answer. No, I got guys in the room, and don't ask me that again. And he pounded the podium. So I always use this term. Go ask them in a grocery store if they're going to lose. Do it. Go up to them. They're around town. They got to buy groceries like you. They got to go to the car wash like you. Ask a football player or a coach if they're not going to give 100%. Go ask. Tell me how it works. But you feel like you got to tell me every day we got to lose on purpose. So I get where we're going this year. If the Raiders win another game, they are not getting Mendoza. That's fair, unless they're going to give up too much to go trade up and get him. I don't even know if Mendoza's the best quarterback. I swear to God, you don't know and I don't know. We don't know. And plus, we don't know what John Spytek and Tom Brady think. You think Tom Brady is going to be involved in the next quarterback? I would think so. I think Tom Brady is not going to tell you Mendoza or not right now. But Patrick Graham basically told you that the football players in his room, who he mentioned by name, Max Crosby, Adam Butler, he mentioned them all by name. They have 17 opportunities to play. And that has a lot to do with the culture of Pete Carroll. You hear some things with Pete Carroll, as much as I've talked to him this year, that you hear the word program. You don't hear the word team. You hear the word program. Our program is this. That's the way he learned football and built this team. We have a program. We go to work every day and we do it this way, this way, this way. It hasn't worked this year, but it's still the program that it's tried and true for him. Patrick Graham, the same thing. You hear what he said? I'm not a winning coordinator this year. He's not a winning coordinator, but he'll be damned if this team isn't going to take advantage of an opportunity. And I really like what he said about the fact that they did this as little kids. They all played football as little kids, including Patrick Graham, a former player who went to Yale. You can't get into Yale unless you're smart. And he basically told everybody that you get 17 chances to play a game that kids play, and they're going to play balls out. So that could be a problem to a lot of fans here, and I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the room. Sometimes you're not you specifically, but the people I deal with this year, sometimes they're not aware of the room. They don't know the difference between a Raider employee and a podcaster. They don't know the difference between someone who hosts the pregame show and someone who's doing a live stream on their phone in their backyard in San Pedro after the Raiders lose a game. So at times I got to re-examine and explain to people what we do here. And when the season's over, if the coach is here or not, if the quarterback's here or not, we're going to cover it. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to say what happened, why they're not here or why they're back. Well, you're upset that they're back or not. You're happy that they're done. And we'll sit here and we'll talk about it. But we don't talk about it until it ends. We don't. We don't talk about the coach being fired until he's retained or fired. We don't talk about the defensive coordinator being fired or retained until he's retained or fired. It's pretty simple. That's really the only rules I have. But you got to understand that in order to play football and have the mindset of a football player, you have to go into Houston, Texas, playing your balls off or you're going to get injured. That's another important topic. You're going to get injured if you don't play hard. If you don't do your best, it's going to show up on tape, and then the Dolphins and the Lions and the Seahawks won't hire you when you get cut from this team in the offseason, and there's plenty of guys who are on one-year deals and aren't coming back. You think they want to tank? Or do you think they want to play their ass off and have a sack and make a tackle for loss? That's what they want to do. Now, as I talk to you about this, as I'm calming down, that Patrick Graham soundbite was really good. As I'm calming down here, I think there's ways. I had a big conversation with my dad, my son's grandfather, today. And my dad was talking, my dad born and raised, and we grew up in New York, Giant fans. And my dad made the point. He goes, the Giants don't want to win this game. I said, I know, Dad. And you can say a lot of Raider fans don't want to win the game too, but my dad didn't grow up in an era. He grew up in the era of Frank Gifford and Y.A. Tittle. And even before that, Jim Brown. There's no such thing as tanking or you're not going to play hard. But what you can do nowadays, and I've been pointing this out, I think, at a pretty high level lately on both shows, is that you can rest players in a position called load management that was really discovered by Greg Popovich in the NBA when he once sent the Spurs home from Miami. He actually sent the Spurs home. Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, he sent them home on a plane to get extra rest, and he didn't play them. And then we discovered this term, load management, where you don't have to play players. It's load management. And now the evolution has happened in the NFL. We found out that Miami benched Tua. They didn't bench him. There's not a better quarterback than Tua. Ewers is not a better player. Tua is a pretty good player. He is. He's not great, but he's pretty good. So why is Tua not playing? Well, first off, they don't just need to see him anymore. They know what they have. Secondly, he could get hurt because he's been concussed, and they're not competitive the way the teams that they're playing, so they got him out. So what Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham could do, and I'm not saying they're going to do this, but what they could do is sit all the starters and bring up the practice squad players and the backups and let them play. You don't think Tommy Eichenberg's going to want to get a sack? You don't think that a backup safety is going to want to make a play? They're all going to want to make plays. This is what they do for a living. So be careful what you wish for. They're either going to win or lose. You and I have nothing to do with it. Even though some fans think I have something to do with it, we have nothing to do with the game. We don't coach it. We don't play it. Sometimes people think they're smarter than the I have actually people on X and people in my chat who think they're smarter than Pete Carroll. And they don't like Pete Carroll, and he's one of the nicest guys. Like, who on earth doesn't like Pete Carroll? Have you ever heard of anybody who doesn't like Pete Carroll? Like one person in your life, have you ever heard, I don't like Pete Carroll? Not one person ever said who met Pete Carroll, I don't like him. And we got Raider fans that don't like Pete Carroll because he's losing. Doesn't mean you don't have to like him. You can say, hey, man, it sucks that Pete Carroll's losing. His job's on the line, probably or not. But, man, he's a good guy. It's just a shame. I'm not comparing him to Josh McDaniel. You know what popped up today? I could show the people on the chat. So every day when I wake up, I open up my Facebook memories. 4 years ago today, and I want to prove it to the people who are watching on the chat so they can see this. It was pretty cool because I actually watched it and listened to it. 4 years ago today, I interviewed Rich Bisaccia one-on-one. Rich Bisaccia, there it is for everybody to see. One-on-one in studio. Me and Rich Bisaccia, there it is. So if you're on YouTube, you can see this. And it was during COVID. And I looked at the headline here, and it said, getting ready, interviewing interim head coach Rich Bisaccia, discussing how his game plan is changing as the Raiders are a full go. They have no players who have COVID. Wow, has the world changed, hasn't it? Our interview was about the fact that none of his players tested positive for COVID, and he was at full strength. And these were the games without the fans. So I went back and watched the interview because I interview Pete every week, and Pete's in the new podcast studio. Bisaccia had a whole bunch of notes in front of him. What a nice guy. What a nice gentleman. A lot of people think we should have kept him. A lot of people thought that we should have kept Rich Bisaccia. He got the Raiders to the playoffs after the John Gruden emails. But at the time, he had never had any head coaching experience, so he wasn't retained. And then after that, the rest is history. And you can't go back in the hot tub time machine and rehire Rich Bisaccia. So when Patrick Graham opened up the show, banging the podium about, I can't believe you guys are asking me that. I'm not ripping on I don't know who asked him that question, Clay. I don't know if you caught it. But whoever did, whoever was the reporter who asked the question, that's not a bad question. It's not. Because all that reporter's audience wants to know if the Raiders are going to tank. But someone must have lost their mind realizing that Patrick Graham doesn't tank. So why did the question have to be asked? Because that's what the fans are talking about. But do you have to ask the question? A lot of people want me to ask Pete Carroll certain questions that are out of bounds. Why don't I ask Pete Carroll certain questions? Because they're out of bounds, and he's not going to answer them. And it's not a contentious, it's not a screaming, it's not a yelling interview. It's the coach telling us about why they lost and who they're playing next. And we try to talk about who's not playing, who's playing poorly. I mean, every interview I've done with Coach this year, other than the first week, has been an interview about losing. Okay, we've covered losing, haven't we? Have I missed anything on losing? But no, fans want me to ask personal questions about his son, questions about, are you ready to leave? Like, we don't do that. So someone just asked a question to Patrick Graham about what type of effort his players are going to give. Can you imagine being Patrick Graham and sitting at a podium wondering if what do you expect Patrick Graham to say? My guys have all checked out. They all packed it in. They're all packing up their lockers. They got 3 games left. So I didn't plan on talking about this today. Clay did a great job. Clay's like, listen, let's get this Patrick Graham comments out. And I'm like, yeah, that's good stuff. So we open up with that. I'm not doing a show today on tanking, so I'm not opening the phones for tanking or not. If you want to call in on the game, please do, because I'd love to hear your analysis of the game, because I think the real issue is, who do you play and who do you sit? And I said on the record, and was clipped, Aiden O'Connell should be playing. Are you okay with me for saying that, or are you mad at me for that one? I said Aiden O'Connell should start at least 2 out of the final 4 games. Kenny Pickett started the last one. I don't need to see Kenny again. Thank you, Kenny, for being here. You're a Raider. We appreciate it. I don't need to see Kenny play again. He played last week. The team was as bad as they've ever been in Raider history on offense. Might have been one of the worst games ever played in Raider history. Whoever the quarterback is of that game, I don't think we need to see him again. I don't think we have to see that player again. Now, if we put Aiden out there this week, which doesn't look like we are, so if you look at what's going to happen coming up here, if you put O'Connell out there and he played as bad as Kenny Pickett, I would say the same thing. We don't need to see Aiden again. I've said all year about Geno Smith. I've seen Geno play enough. I don't need to see Geno pop in the last 2 or 3 games to change my mind about Geno Smith's 2025 season. It was his worst season ever as a starting quarterback. I don't need to see anymore, but I'm going to, and he's going to play coming up on Sunday, and he might play well. And if he plays well, you know what we're going to do? On the post-game show, we're going to give him credit. We're going to say Geno played well. Wow. Geno put the Raiders in a position to win. So then the other storyline, which is really big, if you're into watching good football, 3 of the best, I'd say 3 of the top 6 pass rushers in football are playing in this game on Sunday. You're going to have Danielle Hunter. You're going to have Will Anderson and Max Crosby. So if you like edge rushers and you like guys who get to the quarterback, this is must-see TV. Because the guys who are rushing off the edge from Houston are nasty. They're violent. They're very good. And if you don't block them, they're going to hurt Geno. They're going to physically hurt Geno. So you better block them. Stone Forsythe and these guys, you better do your job. You better not whiff on someone kind of doing a stunt. When someone lines up at defensive end and then they pull, they come up the middle, you better not say, no, I got him, you got him. No, none of us got him, and get Geno killed. And Geno should be aware of this, and Geno should be getting rid of the ball rather quickly. Talking 3-step drop, just get it out. Who to get it out to? Bowers, Gentry, Jack Besh, Dante Thornton. There's plenty of players we want to see here. All young players who need to get targets. Get them the targets. Get them the ball. Let's see what they can do there. So that's the monologue. Kevin Bollinger at the bottom of the hour. If you'd like to call in and get into the show, everybody's got an opinion till you get the phone number, 702-365-9200. What are your expectations for the game? If you're competitive and you want the Raiders to lose, but you're competitive, what do you want to see? Yesterday, the topic was pretty big. Who's going to fight like Max Crosby? I didn't get much feedback. That means a lot of people have checked out. But we're not in the business of checking out. We have advertisers and partners. We don't want anybody checking out. So the topic today is pretty much on the same level. What do you want to see from a competitive standpoint in the game, even if you don't want to win? Which I don't think I've ever said in my 28 years with the team. But I'm at the point now where too much of this audience doesn't want to win. And I'm aware of that. So I want to have a way for you to jump in and say, what do you want to see? Alex9515 says rookies, not vets. I would agree. I don't need to see Alex Kappa play another game for the Raiders. Good guy. Everybody thinks he's I don't need to see him play again. Tyree Wilson, I really don't need to see Tyree play again. If he plays again and plays well, I'll wish him well. I've seen Tyree Wilson his whole career. I've seen it all. I'm pretty good. Anybody else? Anybody else you want to see play? Bueller? Anyone? Anyone else you want to see play and get a little run, as they like to say in sports radio? Because we got to play these games. There are even fans out there, Clay, that want to cancel games and TV and radio shows. They want to cancel them like we have a button and we just don't have to show up and we get paid. Clay, you can go home the rest of the year. You have the rest of December off. We'll just play a button and some old radio shows.
And then we'll just fast forward to whenever you guys want to talk football again.
Yeah, we'll do draft shows.
And life isn't fair, nor is it
No, it's not.
So that's how it is. Them's the breaks.
Yeah, this is tough. As they say, tough sledding for everybody on the team, man. It's tough sledding. And how you going to do it? As Cisco says, I talked to Cisco today, off the record, off the air. He said, play hard and smart. Yeah, play hard and smart. That might be code from Cisco. Play hard, smart, but, there's only so much you can do. A lot of this audience wants to see Aiden O'Connell play. I would agree with you. Aiden O'Connell was playing on a better team than this team. How does that sound in a promo in 3-2-1? Aiden O'Connell was playing football on a better Raiders team than the Raiders team of 2025. He was playing back then, and this team is worse, and for whatever reason, he's not playing. Isn't that interesting? Well, we know why. It's very easy because the coach and the quarterback are tied together. They're loyal. Pete Carroll thinks Geno gives him the best chance to win, and he's probably right. Geno's better historically than Aiden and these other guys. Geno's had plenty of good games in this league that if he plays to his potential, Geno gives you a pretty good chance to win. And this year he hasn't been winning, which is kind of unfortunate. Man, Geno broke the internet yesterday when he said he wants to be here and win a lot of games. Oh, boy. You should have saw the internet. It broke. They had to have Bill Gates had to hire some guy to fix the internet when Geno said he wants to win a lot of games. Pete Carroll said he wanted to win a lot of games. Also, I don't think that comment came back to haunt him. I just think he told the truth. He came in, he looked around at the team. He said, yeah, we got some good players here. We're going to win a lot of games. He was wrong. He didn't know at the time he'd be wrong. He thought he'd win a lot of games. I think Kevin O'Connell thought the same thing with the Minnesota Vikings. They're out of the playoffs. Andy Reid probably thought they were going to win a lot of games. They're out of the playoffs. And, man, we got a great game tonight. Oh, this game tonight between Seattle and the Rams, what a game. Oh, my God. Clay, you'll be at Chickies and Pete's. This should be a standing room only Clay Baker special evening tonight.
This is one of those games where people sit on the edge of their seats. They stay till the end because they have no idea how it's going to end. When you have 11-3 teams battling in the month of December, that's gold, even at Chickies.
Yeah, and here's what's interesting. You see Puka's in the news for all the wrong things. If you haven't looked at Puka Nacua, just Google him right now or go on X. He's doing some weird stuff. His brother broke into a vehicle of an NBA player. There's some weird stuff going on with Puka. And Puka played ball out here in Vegas, so he's got a lot of connections here. The Puka story is really interesting going in about an alleged touchdown dance that he'll do if he scores tonight, and it's got politicians concerned. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going near this topic. Not going near it. But that's an interesting storyline tonight. And
not sure if Devontae, game time decision.
Yeah, if I'm them on Devontae, I wouldn't play Devontae with that. Devontae's a really good player. He quit on the Raiders. Ooh, he said that again. He quit. I know who quit on the Raiders or not. Guys who play to the end of the year and don't quit. They didn't quit on the Raiders. Guys who forced their way out of here, quit on the Raiders. There's no issue there. Devontae's a great player. Hall of Famer. No doubt gold jacket. I don't like the way it ended with the Raiders, nor do I like the way it ended with Randy Moss, who also quit on the Raiders. Laid down right in front of me. He laid down right in front of me. I watched him do it. Fact, not fiction. Randy Moss turned out to be one of the best players in the league. So when you see everything that's happening now with the Raiders, I choose to be positive. Like today, we did Raiders Rundown, the TV show. And I got in a car with Amber Theo Harris, my teammate, and they drove me around town with a camera in the car, and they let me sing. They said, hey, we heard you sing at weddings. So yeah, I sang a Mustang Sally. We did some stuff. It's going to air on Raiders Rundown. Not because we're avoiding football. It's just, we're not living our misery index. We're not miserable. We're upset, but we got to do TV. We got to do radio here. Yes, Clay Nation, the Raider Nation bricklayers, always here for me. So I appreciate everybody coming on. We have Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour. Lee Sterling. And then at 1 o'clock, Dan Duba, the voice of the Vegas Golden Knights, who once again lost in overtime. They once again got to overtime and then went into the shootout and lost. But they got a point. Man, we got to do some homework on that. I don't know how many games, or my son, how many Golden Knight games have they got 1 point this year instead of 2? Seems like most of them, right, Clay? Like most of the games that they play and go into overtime, they don't win.
And they go into OT a lot.
Yeah,
which is like, at this time of the year, it makes you wonder about the attrition or the ability to finish games. Although that East Coast trip wasn't as bad as we thought.
The East Coast trip overall was really good. So that's the monologue. We appreciate everybody there and everybody who comes in and listens every day, especially during the holiday season. This is the time. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and everybody who's out there, thanks so much for being with us all year. I've been telling you about our men's spa, Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men. They just have deals now over the holidays. I've sent a couple of people over there, and they really enjoy it. Get yourself free skincare from TMRW tomorrow. Give yourself the gift of better skin this holiday season. Complete any appointment before January 1st, and you receive a free skincare kit, everything from their skincare routine and their guide. It's $100 plus value, and you could have anything. If you wanted to have Botox, guys, do that now. If you wanted to have a hydrofacial, which I had, it's fantastic. It's unbelievable. Hair restoration. If you want to lose weight, whatever you want, we found the spot for you. Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men. I think you'll like it a lot here. Sahara, right up Sahara, Fort Apache. It's easy to get in and get out, and there's just a bunch of guys hanging out having these cool treatments, and that's what we do on sports radio. We come up with guy ideas for you, and I think we'll love that. When we come back, the sports director from Fox 5, Kevin Bollinger, will join us, and then we'll have Lee Sterling, and he'll pick 3 games for free. I like that Lee does that, and we'll find out what games he has. I'll tease that coming up on the other side. Big day today. We're here. Come watch the show on YouTube, JT the Brick YT, or follow us on X at JT the Brick. Yeah, did that sound good? Good. That might be the way to do it. Yep, that might be the way to do it. All right. Yes. Harinovich book for the holiday. You got that Duva picture? Cool.
Just players have everything you need to know to get you ready for 4-foot Saturday. Catch FCS Mason with Kevin Marshall and Stone LeBon.
Sound today, everybody. Everybody hearing the sound good? Good.
Gaming is the official and exclusive full casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar to stop smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also went, and he still no longer smokes, and it was just amazing.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing. I don't have any cravings. You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your
the Greg Biffle family. You see that? Oh my God! Thanks for reminding me, Big D. Plane crash that killed NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his entire family. That's right. Holy cow! Wow, what a sad story that is.
In Las Vegas. Stop Smoking Hypnosis is at 2 p.m. Weight Loss Hypnosis at 11 a.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Need some extra cash for the holidays? Goldbusters will pay you top dollar for your gold and silver rings, chains, watches. If it's gold,
yep.
buy it. Goldbusters, 830 South 4th Street. Call 725-777-7777 or online at goldbusters.vegas.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From first
All right.
distillery in Texas.
Biffle would fly supplies to hurricane victims. Yeah, I saw that feature on him. Wow. Just awful, man.
From the smoothest martinis.
Just a terrible story.
Tito's
Clay, you got Kevin's number?
nonprofits to serve its communities and to do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Businesses across the country are committed to getting things back to how they were. Shift 4 is committed to helping them get there. Leader in integrated payment processing, making things safer and more secure for businesses of all shapes and sizes, from the neighborhood bar and grill to the biggest resort casinos on the Strip. And now, the proud payments partner of your Las Vegas Raiders. Visit shift4.com to get started.
This is Dr. Bradley Greenwald, a board-certified orthopedic surgeon with the
Not a lot you guys get just inside it.
There's
food and stuff like that.
Okay, thanks.
Take it over.
Okay, appreciate it, Q. Thanks.
expertise.
All right. Yeah, let me mention that.
His personal attention, state-of-the-art treatments, and most importantly, successful outcomes. See how our patients are living their best life.
So this is one of the new Corvetti spots, I would think, huh?
When someone has your back, changes everything.
I recorded the
Our
new guy.
family has spent over 3 decades fighting and pursuing justice for the injured. It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at the Castroverde, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castroverde brothers, and we have your back.
Brotherswin.com.
Brotherswin.com. Who do I got winning tonight's game? Hollywood, Marine. I got to go Rams. I think the Rams are just better. But the game's in Seattle. Darnold's played and he's had no touchdowns in 3 of his last 5 games.
Have a place of
We got Kevin first.
Come on, join me in Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris this week for Thursday Night Football from Seattle. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, the NFC West rival Rams. Both teams are 11-3. Matthew Stafford and LA have already pick up the key win. Find out with us on Thursday Night Football.
Thursday night on Raider Nation Radio 920. Yeah.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Unfortunately for me, as a coordinator, haven't had a winning season. So, but as long as I'm the coordinator, as long as Pete's the head coach, as long as we got Max Crosby and Landon Roberts and we got, Adam Butler, I don't know why y'all even ask us that question. It's not going down like that, period. I don't care what the score is. I don't care what the record is. 17 opportunities a year to be a football player. All that other stuff is being a professional footballer, workouts, all that stuff like that. This is what we did when we were kids. This is what we're going to do. And I'll be damned if the guys that I know in that room would do it any other way. I don't know. I mean, y'all can ask me again next week, but that's just how it goes down.
Wow, Patrick Graham, we're going to be playing that soundbite. JT, back with you as we continue on. He was worked up. He was fired up about that. Kevin Bollinger, kind enough to join us, sports director at Fox 5. And Kevin, that's Patrick Graham frustrated and doesn't want to hear these tanking questions at the podium or what's the energy of the team. That's the way football coaches react. What's your reaction to his comments there?
Yeah, and he has been getting those questions every week because that the team's not winning, and so he definitely gave a passionate response there. And I think defensively there are some alpha dogs that are going to hold everybody accountable for their efforts out there. But obviously PG, he wants to ride this thing out and see these guys give their best effort.
Yeah. How do you describe the effort as you cover this team? Because overall, I'm not in the locker room, but I think the effort during the week is strong. Pete Carroll looks me in the eye and tells me every week it's a strong effort to prepare, weight room, film, and get out there and practice. And they're trying hard, but it just doesn't show up on game day. The last couple of games, the Philadelphia game, some of the pursuit wasn't as great as I would like to see. I wouldn't call it business decisions yet, but enough where fans could be critical.
There have been moments throughout, there are going to be moments with any team, winning and losing. But I would agree that the effort has been there in terms of during the week as well. It's quite honestly, they're just overmatched, on both sides of the ball right now. And that's why we're seeing the scores that we're seeing. They just don't have the players to match up right now at this point of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It always seemed like if Geno can go, he's going to go. That's the way it's trending this week. I think Aiden O'Connell should be playing, but it's not because we're talking about Montana or Steve Young playing. Back in the day, we're talking about Aiden O'Connell against a Geno Smith who clearly isn't at 100%. Are you surprised Aiden hasn't been out there yet since he's been cleared?
Well, and here's the interesting part here: as we reach these final three games, there are some business decisions that have to be made inside the building in terms of next year. And, should Geno Smith not be with the Raiders, then you've got to make a decision on who are you going to go with. If you're, assuming you're going to draft a quarterback, which quarterback are you going to have with him? Aiden O'Connell, or are you going to try and sign Kenny Pickett to a deal to keep him around, or are you going to even go outside of that? So do they need to see Aiden O'Connell? Yes, he's played before, but not with a lot of these people that are in charge of making the decisions inside the building. So do they need to see him play a game here in the final three? And not just at that position, at a lot of positions. If they have a plan of what's going to transpire here in the off season already, if there's things that have been discussed, then I would think that they need to set themselves up to see what they have to see so they can get the plan complete as they go into the draft and free agency.
Kevin Bollinger, Fox 5. This is a pretty good Houston team, 16 points a game, top 4 in rush and passing defense. This is as good as an opponent, not offensively. They got Nico Collins. Stroud could be up and down. They don't run it great. But defensively, this could be the biggest and toughest test of the year. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think that maybe that's the scary part for Raider Nation. They only got 75 yards total offense last week, and this is a much better defense than Philadelphia's defense. So what does that bode well, in terms of that on Sunday? And then keep in mind on the offensive side of the ball, while they aren't obviously running a lot of things up, as the coaches have emphasized a lot this week, they've only turned the ball over 10 times. So it's been a very smart offense and this is a team that D'Amico Ryan's is playing to the team's strength, which is the defense, and making sure the offense doesn't put them in position to where they can lose games. And I think that it's that's why you've kind of seen this team. Houston didn't have the great start to the year, but you've seen this thing build as the season's gone on, and it's all been based around that incredible defense.
Yeah, it's incredible the way they've saved their season. They were not playing well early, and then they have to worry about what was going on with Daniel Jones. Now Phillip Rivers is back trying to fight their way into the playoffs, and it clearly looks like Houston has the advantage. But all of a sudden, Jacksonville's ahead of them, and Jacksonville's playing really well. So, Kevin, before you go here, the next two games after that are going to be bizarre. That's the word I'm using at Allegiant Stadium, because we tend to think the Giants are tanking for number one. A lot of Raider fans don't want to win that game because they want number one over the Giants. And all the games you covered, including COVID, at Allegiant Stadium, this is going to be one of the more unique ones the next time the Raiders come home.
There's no question. I mean, I don't even know what to expect in terms of both the Giants and the Chiefs. Without Mahomes out of the playoffs too, I have no idea how things are going to transpire in those last 2 weeks, and inside the stadium in terms of the atmosphere is going to be maybe a little bit odd as well, because there's going to be fans cheering for various different results. So it could be a very interesting last couple of weeks.
What do you think with UNLV football? I don't love the matchup, Ohio. I mean, look, I'd rather see UNLV play a well known team, but they get to go to Frisco, which connects with the Star and Jerry Jones in Dallas. The team gets to travel one more time together under Dan Mullen. I think they got a lot to play for. It's not like one of those programs where everybody's transferring. Seems like they're going to suit up and try to put on a show for the UNLV fans who are going to travel or watch it back home.
No question. Now, first off, Ohio's a good football team, so I mean they're going to present a challenge out there. But I think that the bowl game, in terms of, as you said, being in Texas, a place where they want to recruit you as well, get as much exposure as they can there, and then the fact that a lot of these junior players, the quarterback, the running back, have all said, we're coming back next year to play for UNLV. We're going to finish what we started here this season. That's great to see, and it does give them something to play for. So the team leaves tomorrow. We'll have a crew. Paloma Villicana is going to be with the team on the charter doing coverage from Texas all week. They'll be out there for a few days getting ready for Tuesday night. And a great chance for UNLV to showcase themselves on a national stage, on national television.
I'm assuming you're going to Houston?
I'll be in Houston. We're ready to roll. We'll see how this thing plays out. Win or lose, we're along for the ride every step of the way. So we'll see how it plays out on Sunday.
Yeah, there's good steakhouses. There's good places to be. Hey, Kevin, we'll talk to you in the new year. Thanks for everything you do for the show. You're a valued insider, and we greatly appreciate you.
All right. Happy holidays, JT. Thank you.
You got it. Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5. They got the games. They do the pregame, and they're a partner, and they're going out to the game. See, that's business. They didn't cancel their flights, Clay. They didn't say no, cancel the hotel rooms. Fox 5 will be out there covering the Raiders as they should.
And he brought up Ohio. The Bobcats, actually, the 7 out of the last 8 years, they've been to a bowl game. That's a pretty good program. However, they're now scandal-ridden because yesterday their head coach, Brian Smith, was fired for personal conduct issues, and that's probably because of allegations of the coaching staff drinking bourbon after a game. And it was stemming from a November game. You can't drink on campus. And they're holding him to the fire on that. That's the early reports
for drinking bourbon and doing Will Ferrell and taking his clothes off and running through the quad. No, you can't have bourbon. You can't have some bourbon.
There were no fights. Nothing was stolen. No drugs. It was just bourbon in a room after the game.
Come on, man.
I know, Ohio. Let's go.
Really? So they fire the head coach over bourbon.
That's the early story. There could be more, but he's a first-year head coach and now out before the bowl game.
Okay, we'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what happens here. But again, let's. There's bigger problems in the world.
They should have had Woodson whiskey.
Yeah, that is an unbelievable way to get a Woodson bourbon whiskey called to come in here. There was on a very serious note now, there's a very serious plane accident today that took the life of a NASCAR driver and his family. So Greg Biffle died in a plane crash, and it is a horrific story that is dominating everything that you're seeing today on the news and obviously the internet and all of that. So just wanted to say prayers out to his family and the surviving family, his extended family. And I can't believe what's going on in regards to that story as it happened earlier today. And a lot of people in the NASCAR world are deeply affected by this and how it went down. So it kind of relates to life, right? We sit here and we're just talking about sports and we're all upset about sports and what's happening in the world of sports. And then something real happens that's much more serious. And when something like that happens, which is more serious, please keep these people in mind and what they're going through. Just a horrible story today. 6 dead after a private jet crashes in North Carolina. And on that plane was Greg Biffle and his family. And as they're reporting this and everything's getting confirmed, the governor of North Carolina had a news conference. The crash, quote, was heartbreaking. Our hearts go out to the families, and it was a Cessna C-550. It crashed while landing at Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina at 10 a.m. local time. So the reports are being out there now. If you're a sports fan and you have any type of Twitter feed, you saw it already. People in my chat have been talking about it. Godspeed to the young people who are on that plane, on top of being there with their parents. It's just tragic. When we come back, Lee Sterling will join us. He's picking college football bowl games for us. And we're going to dive into that coming up here. Lee Sterling, our insider, he's going to give us Oklahoma, Alabama, Denver, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Chicago, And his game of the week is the game tonight. Stick around for Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com.
Wake up with the 40.
Hey, you can go grab some food if you want. You got it. You have on Miguel Real Mucho. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Days at 7 a.m.
Football is here. Golden Circle Sports Bar inside Treasure Island Hotel and Casino is the best place to watch games on the Strip. There's a huge video wall and over 55 plus screens throughout the bar. Place your sports bets at the new STN Sportsbook. The menu with the Golden Circle Burger, the Linebacker Bison Burger, Philly Cheesesteak, the Polish Sausage, and so much more. 86 Mike. Golden Circle Sports Bar time is amazing. $5 draft beers every day. 10 to 16. Treasure Island, the Vegas destination for OCCA contemporary resort experience with an ideal location on the Las Vegas Strip. And remember, parking is always free.
It's JT for the Black Hole, home to football's most notorious fans. The Black Hole Fan Store is now open Fridays through Sundays inside the world-famous Golden Nugget Resort Casino on Fremont Street. This isn't just a store, it's the official Black Hole Fan Store. One-of-a-kind apparel and merchandise created by the fans for the fans. And Black Hole members save 20%. Join now at theblackhole.com. Once a member, always a member.
Raiders 101 is brought to you by Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Come now at Allegiant.com.
New Orleans was popping as the Raiders came to town back in December of 1979. But the Raiders, led by their first-year head coach Tom Flores, was ready to quiet the Big Easy. In the third, the Raiders were down by 21 points, but Ken Stabler told Coach Flores that he got into this mess and he would get them out, and he did. As the
they're giving away raffles, Clay, and food, and popping over there. Yes. We got 350 people here. I don't know how many we got on YouTube. Some of them are just people that are on X, and take a look. Shout out to Jay and Joe at Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. You better believe it. Lee Sterling on the year, 18, 20, and 1. It's a little bit below 500. Which is not up to his standards, but he's got plenty of time left to improve.
Our family has spent over 3 decades fighting and pursuing justice for the injured. It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at Castronardi, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castronardi brothers, and we have your back.
Brothers win.
All right.
Lisa Stowe fan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise,
Salute
and I
to
lost
you.
60 pounds in 6 months.
Take
my
the
energy level
Texans and the
exploded.
under.
I went to another
Ooh,
session to
Big
deal with
D,
some other
the
problem
Texans and
foods,
the
and I lost
under.
another 10 pounds. In
That
fact, I
sound
broke
about
my
right.
husband.
That
He
sounds
lost
about
weight.
right.
More important, cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend went and she lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months. So does Mark Patrick hypnosis work? Oh yeah, it works. Nothing has changed my life more. Well, except maybe my husband. He's so proud of me. Makes me cry.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose the weight or stop smoking or your money back. Only $59.99. That's right. Weight loss hypnosis Saturday, January 10th at the Santa Fe Station Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30. Stop smoking hypnosis at 2 p.m. with registration at 1:30. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Visit the newly opened William Hill Sportsbook at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas, featuring a wide range of sports betting options, including player props, same-game parlays, super parlays, live in-play wagers, and more. All available 24/7. You can also come in and sign up for a William Hill mobile account and get your first bet matched up to $200.
All right.
Never miss another bet with William Hill Sportsbook at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
First down and 10 from the 26. Here comes the blitz. Stafford throws right side. It is caught. Back in front by Tyler. Parkinson A touchdown in 5 of his last 6 games. Colby celebrates the go-ahead score. That was a dime from Matthew Stafford as his MVP campaign kicks into high gear with the go-ahead score.
Rams Radio, we had a little Rolling Stones coming back. Today's Keith Richards' 82nd birthday. If you asked every single human being on the planet, everyone, if Keith Richards would have made it to 30 when he was in his 20s, or 40 when he was in his 30s, or 60 when he was in his 50s, Keith, all the way to 82. The bad news is they might never tour again. That's the rumor. And I met my wife at a Rolling Stones concert. Lee Sterling knows that. He joins us from Paramount Sports. Lee, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, soon to be Happy New Year. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. And I also celebrate a birthday, December 29th. So great time of year, spend time with, family, friends, and also want to wish you and your staff and all the listeners out there a happy, healthy holiday, Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year.
Awesome. Before we get going, because you're in Miami, is Tua bench for load management? Tua helped Mike McDaniel save their jobs when they won 4 in a row. What's the news? Why is Tua going to the bench in South Florida?
He was absolutely horrible on Monday night. I mean, he was getting rid of the ball way before it should have been. I mean, he was just absolutely scared of getting hit. So, we've seen some of the best quarterbacks hold the ball to the last second. Never expected him to be this gun shy. So his arm strength also not there. Go back and watch the tape. It's scary bad. It's that bad. So going to give Quinn Ewers a try. The problem here is, if they demote him or release him, they're still on the hook for over $50 million for next year. So should have gone year by year, but that's what most people would have done. They decided to reward him with a contract, and now they're paying the price.
All right, let's get to the games. Oklahoma, my son's school, they already beat Alabama this year, and now they play them again as they open up the college football playoff. I know there's been a big line move in this as of late here. Oklahoma playing at home. Alabama, I like Alabama in this spot, even though I'm rooting for Oklahoma. It's hard to beat a team twice in the same conference, in the same venue. How do you see it?
The Georgia game, I think Georgia was going to roll in that game, win by double digits. And I think that they would, be able to make it so tough on Alabama that didn't cross midfield to the fourth quarter. No, but I see Alabama as a totally different team now. Their offensive line, 10 sacks allowed the last 3 games. Ty Simpson, obviously something's not right. Mm-hmm. They said, he had some back problems. He doesn't look like he has the same, velocity on the ball. So you got one team, better defense, and by far better special teams. You got a kicker, Tate Sandell. He's funny inside 65. In Alabama, their kicker's like 50% over the last 4 or 5 games here. I think Oklahoma, the line is now Oklahoma switched. Alabama was a favorite 2 days ago. Oklahoma's a 1 to 1.5 point favorite here. I think the right team's favorite. I think Oklahoma, they move on 24-20.
Boomer sooner. I would love that. That would be unbelievable if they pull it off. Oklahoma wins the game. Let's go to the NFL. Denver -3 versus Jacksonville. Here's what's interesting in this game. Jacksonville's playing really well. They've won a lot of games here. If they win this one, they're one behind Denver for the 1 seed. Okay, with the Patriots there, a lot on the line for Jacksonville, or are they happy to be there because Houston's chasing them down? Houston's playing the Raiders. You got to assume they're picking up a game, and Jacksonville wants to hold serve here. How do you see this one?
So, Jacksonville, 5-0 straight up against the spread the last 5 games. But take a small look into what happened last week. Trevor Lawrence, 6 touchdown passes, but who did they face? The New York Jets. If not for special teams, Jets wouldn't have a win this year. So now they got to go cross country, got to face Denver at Mile High, and that's going to be tough, facing the number 3 yards per allowed defense here on the ground. And if they can't run the football, they're going to be in big trouble here. That pass rush and that secondary, I think right now might be the best in the NFL. And then on the offensive side, Sean Payton, he's starting to feel really confident in Bo Nixon. Mm-hmm. Bo Nixon's not even running the ball. I mean, his receivers are going up and making some great catches. I just think right now, Denver's playing the best football. I'm going to take Denver. I think they win easy here. I think they're going to see 2 or 3 interceptions from Trevor Lawrence. Broncos 30-13.
Wow, 30-13. Broncos big in this game. We go to Green Bay, -1.5 against Chicago. Another tough deal for me. Micah Parsons is out. That's my NFC championship team going to the Super Bowl. I had Green Bay before the start of the year, but without their great tight end and Micah, I don't think they can win the Super Bowl, but I think they can win this game in this rivalry, which Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers owned over the years. But Caleb Williams is playing really well here, and Chicago's not done being on top here. This is a tough game to see here. I'm seeing now Bears getting +1 to 1.5. How do you have it?
Yeah, Green Bay couldn't Denver quarterback Bo Nix. So what makes you think all of a sudden they're going to be able to sack Chicago's quarterback, Caleb Williams, without Micah Parsons? I have some real doubts about that. Then on the offensive side, Christian Watson had 2 touchdowns. They schemed up perfectly, had him going against safeties for the Bears. Even if he plays, he's not 100%. Chicago probably should have sent the game to overtime 2 weeks ago. That 4th and 1, I actually thought it was a great call. Caleb Williams just threw the ball too late, too short here. Since week number 9, Bears number 2 in expected here per rush attempt and number 2 in rushing success rate here. I expect the Bears, they had 35 passes in the first game, only 27 rush attempts. You're going to see a flip-flop. They're going to run the ball 35 to 38 times. They have the number 2 center in the NFL and their 2 guards, top 5 and top 6. What a difference a year makes here. The Bears, yep, they're gonna move on here and take control of the division. Bears 28-20 over the Packers.
Wow, Bears big in the cover. And the game of the week is tonight. And I know you got some good information on this one. Reminds me of last year when Sam Darnold had an opportunity against Minnesota to get the 1 seed. Didn't play well. They ended up going 1 and done. They didn't even, down the stretch, they fell apart. It's a redemption game for Sam Darnold in Seattle, but the Rams are as good as any team in football. Devontae, that could be an issue with the hamstring. How do we get your game of the week? I know you got information.
Yeah, I think this might be the biggest game of the year in
Whoa.
the NFL.
Whoa.
It's on a Thursday night. Whoever wins this game probably control the division, would force the other team into probably a wild card berth. So it is that huge here. So much on the line. Anyone wants to get it for free, call 800-400-9741. Again, the number 800-400-9741. And check out all the specials. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Holiday specials at ParamountSports.com. We'll talk to you soon, Lee. Good luck. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, JT.
That's Lee Sterling. We put him in the spot every week on Thursday. It's always good to have him. 702-365-9200. I had 2 long guests. No calls, hour number 1. We're going to hear from any Raider fans on the Houston game. If you Raider fans want to take a little vacation on the phones, we're good with that. I got you. They pay me real well to sit here and talk for 2 hours. That's why I don't do 3. Inside joke. 702-365-9200. When we come back, the voice of the Vegas Golden Knights, Dan Duva. What a broadcaster he is. So some hockey talk. Yeah, don't run away. Get more fans in here. Hockey's for grown-ass men. Vegas has got a team that can win it all. But are they playing like that? We'll ask Dan coming up. We're brought to you by Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. They got the whole hotel casino ready for the holidays. Go see John O'Donnell at One Steak at Virgin Hotels.
Join me, Clay Baker.
Just start with him, and then you can roll because we're going to do something after that.
Free on beers, shot, and cocktail specials, killer food. It's all at Chickies and Pete's at the all-new Sahara this Thursday.
How much sweet can you handle? Try 2 Feed It Sweet at Port of Subs. Brownies, cookies, or the Ooey Gooey Brookie. It's dessert on a big sale. Perfect for parties, gifts, or game day. Order now at portofsubs.com. Port of Subs, home of the 2-foot. Now for dessert, too.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
For over 20 years, the experts at LendingStore.com have provided consumers with quick access to lenders, and all credit types are welcome. Now, cash is as close as your phone and as soon as tomorrow. When you need cash, you need it now. So why wait? Got bills today? Get cash tomorrow. Visit LendingStore.com to get the cash you need now. So visit lendingstore.com today for details. See website for details. Lending Store is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Here's your chance to own a luxury vehicle at a non-luxury price. Hi, this is Brennan, General Manager at Jaguar Land Rover Las Vegas. Come and see a variety of our certified pre-owned vehicles at Jaguar Land Rover Las Vegas or visit us online at jlrlv.com.
Every Thursday at 2:30, we go inside the huddle with our Raiders insider, Vinny Bonsignor, on Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. That's brought to you by Shift 4. Experience the future of payments with Shift 4, the official payments partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Visit shift4.com to learn more.
This is JT for the local 872, proud partners of Raider Nation Radio, led by Tommy White, building the city on time and on budget. Go to local872.com to find out about apprenticeships, career paths, all the public work zones, and the schedules that are happening here in our valley. I'm proud to be associated with the 872, proud partners of my show and Raider Nation Radio.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
We're hiring at A1 Garage Doors. No experience, no problem. We provide full training, a brand new van, top-of-the-line tools, a gas card, and steady jobs with weekly pay. This isn't just a job. It's a career with real growth, great pay, and job security. Our team members go from training to 6 figures, and we're ready to help you do the same. Don't wait. Apply now at a1garage.com/careers.
A1garage.com. A1 from day one.
Hi, I'm Paul Pata of Paul Pata Law. And I'm Tony Abatangelo of the Vegas Lawyers, a division of Paul Pata Law. With the holidays upon us, the team at Paul Pata Law wants to wish you and yours a safe and joyous season. No matter what your legal needs are, our mission is to deliver legal excellence with compassion, trust, and
If there's
respect.
anything you see in hockey there that you like,
Yours. Happy
some
holidays!
stats, or maybe you can help me find the record in overtime.
Football Central at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort Casino is the place to catch all of the action. Join the party every Sunday at the Superbook.
How we doing, everybody? Everybody heading out of town for the holidays, or everybody having a home holiday?
Arcade video. Enjoy incredible specials. I know your favorite cocktails, beers, and stadium style food. The best place to be.
The Sharks are fun to watch. Us, no, Raider? Don't they have a really good young player on the Sharks? Like a really good player?
Sound off, Raider Nation. Join JT the Brick weekdays from noon to 2 p.m. for the most interactive talk show in sports talk radio. We are RNR 920 AM, KRL Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick.
There's just a little much, and I don't care who hears that. That it's he's legendary. His track record speaks for itself. He competes every single day, and that's what I love about
Your silver and black home has sound off for over 25 years.
Am I willing to play harder longer than the guy lining up across the team lining up across from me? And if you're not, then I want to be the space. That's where the Raiders will be for those excellence every day.
And now here's JT the Brick.
All right, it's hour number 2 of the show as we continue on Thursday. Interesting hour. We got the voice of the Golden Knights, Dan Duva, in a second. Mike Crevetti Orthopedics, the good friend of mine and great orthopedic surgeon. If you got a knee, you got a shoulder, you need to get checked out. We're going to do some business with Mike Crevetti as we get rolling here. But the Vegas Golden Knights, as we talk about this team, man, they're on top of the Pacific. But they're 4-10 in overtime. Wow. How is that even possible? They're ahead of the Ducks. The Avalanche have 55 points in the West. Man, what a year they're having. So I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. Happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating, and Christmas right around the corner. They're having their big holiday. We are our big holiday party here today at Lotus Broadcasting. Meatballs, chicken cutlet, all of it being served in the lobby here. So hopefully you're having a good holiday party. I don't know why Dan Duva wouldn't be here. He's a big part of our family here. The voice of the Golden Knights. Dan, happy holidays to you. Coming off the game last night. Thanks for joining us.
I heard the words chicken cutlet in my heart and soul.
It's the only thing I order. Now you get to go to Jersey, you get to go to New York, you get to go to Toronto. When you guys have the dinner and you go with Lawless and everybody, is it always Italian? You mix it up seafood? Is it take advantage of every city when you're in Vancouver? How do you do it?
My gosh, yeah, no, I mean we certainly spread it around, but especially there in the swamps of Jersey, which is of course my native country. There's in fact because my family is there, so we did a little early Christmas celebrating and a little Christmas preview. So yeah, there were multiple Italian dinners, but there's nothing that beats mom's home Italian cooking, I have to say.
I would say the same with mine. One thing about that East Coast trip, because growing up in Long Island, and my best friend is the best man at my wedding, and his father was in an interesting industry, and he knew when he was in the bar liquor business, and he knew when they were coming in for those 3 games. You get the Devils, the Rangers, and the Islanders. And as you remember, the stories of the players, if they were going to be there for 4 or 5 nights in New York, a lot of good dinners, and they'd get after it pretty good. Some of them would get the New York Jersey flu. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I think Gary and Shane made it down to John's on Bleecker. It's a place that's been there forever, and I think Gary might have reached out in advance and got some special treatment. We rely on Gary for such things. Wherever we go, Philomena's in Georgetown, Washington D.C. Stanley Cup Final 2017. Like line out the door. Like you need reservation month in advance. Somehow we walked in and we had a private room. So we'll leave that to Gary.
That is great. Hey, what's going on with the overtime record with all your years of doing this and covering hockey and knowing the history of the sport? With being on top of the division, but the record in overtime, what is going on with all of these overtime games and the results of 1 point?
It is bizarre. I mean, so it's 14 times Vegas has gone to overtime. That's the same number as all of last year. So on one hand, you're thinking, all right, like they should be winning more of these games. But on the other hand, you're thinking, well, they've been a terrific third period team. In other words, like they have forced overtime as opposed to having a lead and then kind of saying, okay, well, we're stuck going to overtime. So it's a weird mindset thing where, because they've gotten so many of these extra points, they're top 5 or 6 in the entire league, even though their overall win total is not quite as high as Colorado or Dallas. So they're benefiting from it. Then, of course, you get greedy because after they won an overtime game in San Jose, game 2, then they lost 6 straight games decided in overtime. And then with Carter Hart coming along, they actually started to win a few of them. So I'm not sure that there's a great explanation. It really is across the league for overtime games. You'd love to see a team with as much talent as the Golden Knights find a way to win some of these. Especially, they have twice lost in overtime when they had an overtime power play. So that's a little curious. And then for whatever reason, they're not doing much scoring in the shootout. So with all the talent they have, you figure it's something that they'd sort of worked their way out of. Remember, Mark Stone was not available for a good chunk of that, William Karlsson, et cetera. So like any good team, you sort of develop and build. You kind of focus on the things that are going to help over the long haul. Bruce Cassidy likes to say they don't have shootouts or 3-on-3 overtime in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dan
Duva, voice of the Golden Knights, great broadcaster. I was listening to you in the beginning of the game. And when I got home and I was watching the shootout with my wife and son, I'm amazed at how they set the shootout lineup because this team's got big-time scorers. No Eichel last night, but Marner, who I think's now 0 for 5 in the shootout. You want to get Stone in there. I like Karlsson when healthy. I mean, is this a sport where the 3 should be set automatically 1, 2, 3 in every shootout? Or what's it like in practice when someone's just hot or you got a hotter player or when you sit someone down if they get cold? What's the process like?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it basically boils down to the head coach's gut feeling. And sometimes just, I remember this happening with Nicholas Waugh, who was a great fourth-line center for the Knights for several years. And at some point, and it might have been under the Pete DeBoer regime, that they just sort of noticed, like, when they'd have shootout practice at the end of a regular practice, just sort of having fun, I'm like, wow, we didn't expect that from him. So they put him into some game situations, and he pulled it out, at least for a limited period of time. So just because you might not be a high-end offensive guy, overall numbers, that doesn't mean you can't be a great shootout performer. And it is curious, like you said, with Mitch Marner, who is now 0 for 5. And last night, he didn't even get a good attempt. He had the puck poked off his stick, and then it went off of his skate and into the goal, which does not count. So it is sometimes curious, but they call it a skills competition for a reason. But it often really, and you got some high skill guys, but oftentimes the head coach will just have a feeling. And hey, sometimes the player will say, "Hey, Bruce, have you been watching what Riley Smith's been doing? Like, get him in there." Like it really does come down to that, especially when it goes beyond 3 rounds. Then you're getting 5 rounds, 7 rounds. Like then you're getting to guys who are they never have had an attempt before in their careers, which makes it even more interesting. And sometimes when you don't know what's coming, those guys can come out looking like heroes.
So the only team in hockey that has more than 50 points is Colorado. They're on top of the West, Dallas, Minnesota Wild, then Vegas Golden Knights. I want to start with the Wild after their trade. They got 3 or 4 players who are considered widely the best, maybe at their position, and they've won 5 in a row. Should we all be keeping an eye on Minnesota as much as Dallas before we get to Colorado?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a big part of it has to do with simply the mindset that Bill Guerin has put in place there. And he has swung for the fences. You remember he's also running Team USA from an Olympic standpoint. And there's a lot of respect and understanding about what he does from a Team USA point of view. And obviously Quinn Hughes is an American, et cetera. So there's been sort of an ambivalence toward Minnesota over the years. They've had good teams, but they've never really broken through. Knights have seen them in the playoffs a couple of times and beaten them both times. They've never been able to break through. They're finally out from under those big contracts that they signed with Suter and Parise many years ago. And so they were always handcuffed with the salary situation. And now when you have those young assets, and they've obviously landed on a gold mine with Kirill Kaprizov, once you have somebody like that, you have to eliminate the patience. You realize that you've got a generational player that you've locked up long term, and then you have to bring in the supporting talent and almost offset, future prospects. Like they traded away a first-round pick, they traded away Zeke Williams, who's a terrific young player, because you've got to bring in guys who are already stars, not guys who might become stars or a prospect. And so I think that not only is helpful for the roster in Minnesota, but just the mindset. If you're anybody in that room, you're thinking, wow, our GM really thinks we can do something here, and then they're living up to it. I think it's just a shot in the arm, not to mention all the things that Quinn Hughes will bring to that team.
Dan Dube, as we wrap it up. So how good's Colorado? They were on an historic pace for a couple of weeks here. Tell our audience how good they are, because I've always believed since Vegas was born, they're a cup contender every year. How hard is it looking up at Colorado with 55 points?
Yeah, and of course, they had the return of their captain in Gabriel Landeskog, who had missed significant time after they won the championship in 2022, the year before the Golden Knights. And it's clear how much they missed him. The leadership, what he does on the ice, and even though he might not get as many minutes as he had at a point earlier in his career, he seems to have stabilized things. Plus, you have Nathan McKinnon and Kel McCarr, already 2 of the best players in the league at their positions. If McCarr is probably number 1 defenseman, but they've got just a couple more years under them. Of course, they've known how to win. They've already won a championship, but now they're into that sweet spot now where you still have the physical abilities of youth combined with the wisdom of years. That's the prime. They're into that meaty part of their careers. And when you see players like that on the same team, you're thinking, one championship shouldn't be enough. JT, you and I would think back to the 1986 Mets. Those teams that should have won more than one World Series, and if not for Oral Hershiser in '88, they would have had another. And I think that's what they're thinking there in Colorado. They've got these great players. It would be a shame if they didn't get more than one championship. Sort of like how Tampa Bay, they did get 2, but they lost a couple of times to the finals as well. Florida obviously got there 3 times, won it twice. And I think the Golden Knights are thinking along those lines too. There's so much talent here. These are teams that have figured out how to win, and then once you win it once, you think we ought to do it again. But Colorado is that good. You just wonder, and I don't know that this will happen. There's no indication of it. But do they peak too early? Does it look like Tampa Bay a few years back, best regular season, and they get swept in the first round by Columbus, who was a team that just squeaked in? You just never know.
Dan, one broadcasting question on the way out. How are you evolving as a broadcaster with your prep, the work you do, getting down to the rink, practice, consuming everything you do at night after a game, what's happening around the league? Give our audience an example of what's changed for you as a broadcaster in the last 5 to 10 years.
Well, that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. I always remind myself what I try to share with students, which is the game is out there. As much as we can prepare, and I spend probably more time than I should on, finding stories and talking to people. And by the way, talking to people supersedes looking up stats or articles, or it's best when you can talk to somebody. But really, when it comes down to it, the game is out there. And if you're looking down at your notes or trying to stick something into the broadcast that's been planned out, you might miss something that's right in front of you. And of course, the people who are listening to our broadcast are most interested in knowing what's happening. And if we can enhance that for the listener, all the better. But I think that's something I try to remind myself of, that the game is out there, not to force things into the broadcast. And really just talking to people. That's what we do on the air. The listener doesn't really get to answer us directly. But we want to be a companion for the listener. And I think that the more and more games that Gary and I do together, and it's, 700 plus now if you include playoffs, with the staggering number of games, I think, and I just had this conversation with Matt Loughlin and Chico Resch, the Devils radio broadcasters. They are companions. I mean, you just get to know them, and you feel like by listening to them, you feel like you're part of something, and they keep you company. And even if the game isn't going great or if the team isn't going great, you still want to be a part of that. So thank goodness for us, the Golden Knights have been entertaining and winning, but we want to be those companions. So I think that's a great question, JT, and I think that as much as anything, as much as we want to share information and entertain our listeners, we also want to be companions for our listeners.
Good to have you back home off the road trip. I'll see you there at the rink. Look forward to saying hi to you, Joe Sands and Gary, and thanks for doing this.
Thanks, JT. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to Dan Duva. What a great broadcaster he is. When you call a hockey game, I mean, I do the preseason football play-by-play, and you got to study because you don't know who's playing, right? You don't know who's in the game. You got practice squad guys, guys who aren't going to make the team. The hockey, Clay, when I see the national hockey guys like Bob Wischusen, who's the voice of the Jets, and then he does a national game on ESPN, and the game is like L.A., Vancouver, and they're passing the puck around, and he knows all their names. And that's on his primary job. Or Roxy Bernstein.
Yeah,
Roxy's good. I'm like, how do you know? And plus the pronunciation of the names of the Russians and the Swedes and the Finns and all that. Really tough to do that play-by-play. It's so fast.
Yeah, it's not like in football where you may have a week to know all the new guys that are coming in, maybe through injuries. Day by day, you have to keep up on those coming up and their pronunciations in the right dialect, and never look down at your notes for it because you already have it inside.
How about Mike Emmerich when he was calling games? Is he the all-time best, I think, number one in hockey?
Yeah, and when you heard his voice, you're like, wow, this is like something really special. It was almost like hearing someone like Brent Musburger or Dan Fouts doing a game in college football.
Sam Rosen was a longtime voice of the Rangers. When they had the last game here last year, I went, got a credential, and went and basically just shook his hand and said, it was really kind to me. It was in between periods. And I just said, hey, I want to say thank you for all the years. And I wasn't a Ranger fan. I grew up an Islander fan, but I remember all his games.
Cool.
And he could have been. The hockey guys are just different, man. And, for a conversation, maybe for a podcast, when these guys come to town, we know a lot of people in town. We got a lot of people in the liquor business, the nightclub business. When these hockey players come to town, man, you want to talk about tippers and guys who come in. So typically what happens, a hockey team comes to town. If they get here in time for dinner and they don't have to play until the next day, it's on. It's on. They go out as a team. They get a private room. They booze heavy. They have their wine. They're big wine guys. They eat. And then they tip like animals. They're like really hockey players. Most of them are from Canada, and they're tipping well and having a good time. If a hockey team is in Vegas for multiple nights, then you start hearing about the nightclubs. Oh, they're out.
Yes.
They're out at Hakkasan. They're out at Omnia.
It certainly was like that the first 2 years when the
Vegas flu. Yeah.
were hosting everybody. And everybody, if you, it's funny about this town, if you don't tip well, that news burns around really quickly. But that was never the case for a lot of hockey players. In fact, if anything, sometimes they would stay out a little too late and tip a little too much. And next thing you know, when they come back to Vegas, they were like a little shy when they went out.
You're right. The first 2 years that Vegas went to the Stanley Cup in year one, and we lost Alex Ovechkin in that. But you nailed it. The first 2 years of all these teams coming to town, they were out. and they were out, and they were partying like rock stars. Football players don't get to do that. When people always ask me, well, why would you want to, in Vegas, is everyone going to get into trouble? No one gets in trouble. They all live out in Southern Highlands and Henderson, and they have great lives. A few live on the main streets of Summerlin with me. Most of them live out. The Raiders do out in Henderson, and they're not out going crazy. And the other teams that come in have curfew. So they fly in the day before Saturday. They're not allowed out Saturday night.
That's right.
They're in their hotel, wink, wink, but they're not out and doing that. So you can get in a lot of trouble in Vegas, Miami, L.A., Nashville. When you go to some of these small Canadian towns or you're going to Edmonton, there's not a lot to do. So the hockey players usually save their money because they have to spend money too. They save it for New York, Vegas, and Chicago. And L.A. L.A. is a pretty good place to go. Thanks again to Dan Duva. Really appreciate that. And that was brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, my go-to vodka. Go have a Tito's whenever you get a chance. Tito's, proud partner of our show. Coming up here in a little bit, Dr. Mike Crevetti is going to come in studio with a doctor that I haven't met, one of his orthopedic surgeons. So a little business we're going to take control of here. But it's very important because you might not be feeling right. You might have a shoulder pain. You might have knee pain. Could be time to get a hip. And Dr. Mike Crevetti's been a friend of mine for a very long time, and he wants to help you. So we'll talk to one of our partners, Dr. Crevetti, who's in the lobby and coming in. We'll get to him in a little bit. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'm not going to have you sit around and listen to a friend of mine, which you can, but at CrevettiOrtho.com. We'll be back here tomorrow to the Bricklayers. Please hit subscribe on the way out.